Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Impact Final Resolution review for the 12th of December, 2020. And, it was a fine show. I don't agree with them doing these monthly specials. I think uh, I think it's a, I think it's a waste of energy, waste of resources. They're not gaining anything major from doing the shows, and they're kind of running the talent. I think it's a microcosm of the belief that you got to have monthly special shows that has really existed probably for about 25 years, and I don't agree with that mentality. And this show shows that there is a bit of stretching that comes along with that. So anyway, we open with Tommy Dreamer defeating Larry D in an old school rules match. Match comes apart as it comes as part of the Who Shot Johnny Bravo storyline. Larry D is guilty of this, and Dreamer and D are wrestling over the fact that that's there. Um, he will be free. Larry D will be free of his allegations if, uh, you know, if he wins, and Dreamer enforces his issue if he doesn't. So, weapons fine. Weapons matches are fine, and then there aren't any fans, so this is awkward. Um, they set up a lot of spots that are just kind of goofy. We use brawling on the outside of the ring almost immediately. It takes a long time to set up spots. Larry D isn't the most athletic guy. I mean, he's athletic for his size, but he's not going to win any endurance awards anyway. So D dominates early. He uses cookie sheets and chairs. Um, Dreamer does a comeback and gets close to a win, and then we see a corner drop kick to a chair. AC Romero makes his way down and tries to help. Johnny Bravo runs down to help Dreamer, and then they try to use a table, but then he falls on D's right hand, and Dreamer gets a DDT and wins. Uh, Larry D, as a result of this, is supposed to go to jail. I, what a goofy storyline. It's just stupid. Uh, you know, Dreamer actually, Chance, you still got it at himself there. I don't know. It's just not a good thing. Josh Matthews and Madison Rain run down the show, and uh, Kenny Omega and Don Callis are outside the venue, supposedly. Havoc and Nevaeh defeat Sea Stars, Ashley Vox, and Demi Echo. This is fine, I guess, but there's no real story behind the match. Sea Stars debuted a couple weeks ago, and they really haven't done that much. They lost in their match in the women's tag team title tournament against Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. Havoc and Nevaeh are in the semifinals of the same tournament, going up against Jordana Grace and Jazz. I don't necessarily know why this match even takes place. Squash match with a couple hope spots for the Sea Stars. Um, Havoc and Nevaeh cut off Echo, and they work her over for a couple of minutes. Vox comes in off a hot tag, tries to clean house, doesn't really get very far. Gets a little bit of offense, including a dive, and Vox finds herself slammed in the apron. I like Vox. I saw her on the NWA first run stuff a while back, and I really do enjoy her. Sea Stars had a Codebreaker and Top Rope Senton. Double team for near fall. And Nevaeh got the pin on Echo after a wheelbarrow assisted cutter. Um, Fine match, but you could have left this off the show and nobody would have really cared one way or the other. Backstage, Hogan and Steele talked about what they would do with stolen Hernandez money, and they're trying to come up with a plan to keep the money. This is just goofy. Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K defeat Alicia and Eddie Edwards. Story behind this basically starts in the knockout tournament where Edwards and Dashwood were supposed to team up. They teamed up for the first time. Um, they get defeated. They decide to stick together. Sami Callihan attacks Eddie Edwards a few weeks ago, and Alicia charges the ring to defend her husband, which to me is just stupid. Like, I don't like the whole, oh, well, this is a man versus woman, so let's do man versus woman violence and defend. Like, there's the old Randy Savage Elizabeth thing from when Savage got bit by the snake, and she ran down, but she didn't get physically involved in the match. And I'm sorry, man on woman matches, while athletically I can enjoy them, and there are cases where they work, even some 21, 22 years after China, it's still not entirely believable, and I don't care for them. Um, Eddie Edwards is now the tag partner to deal with his wife's issues. Caleb and Eddie they're fine, although it's a backward step for Eddie Edwards, who has been world champion a couple times, to be in this match. They do some comedy stuff. Alicia and Dashwood are in there, and it's not good because neither one of them is really ready. Dashwood, I don't. I'm sorry. There are so many talented ladies, and I don't see why they're making such a big deal out of her. Alicia has the upper hand. Dashwood and Caleb get cut off quite a few bit. Caleb trips Alicia, and then Edwards gets the hot tag, deals with Caleb, but Alicia tries a top rope splash. Sami Callihan interrupts, and he allows Dashwood to take out Alicia and get the pin. Sami Callihan is so 2012. Like, that character is just flatter than a plate of pancakes, and I don't understand why he's interjected into things that aren't in the best interest of the company. The match was fine. Again, a match that if it wasn't here, not a big deal. A lot of people like Dashwood's heel work. I think she's forced and uncomfortable. It's there. Post-match, Sami Callihan sneaks out from under the ring, attacks Edwards, and does so with a bat. It's a package pile driver, and then security runs in, makes the save. Callahan's Edward feud has been going on forever, and Eddie kind of sells. Eddie sold an injured eye post-match, and Gia Miller tries to interview Omega, and they've got the bus. Don Callis comes out. Miller asks if Omega is planning to get involved in tonight's show. Callis said obviously not, and that Omega was only visiting family. I don't know. This is fine, I guess. I personally, now that they've done the Omega thing, I want to see at least one AEW talent on each Impact show to tease that this is going to go somewhere, but that's just me. So Falaba and Hernandez are up next. I've never been a Hernandez fan. I don't get Falaba, so this to me is a throwaway match. They do the angle over the stolen money from several weeks back. Hernandez doesn't get paid back. And it's fine, but it's again, this really feels like this is the flattest Impact show I've seen in months, and I watch almost every week now, or I catch it up a few days later. I watch night of or within a few days. This is the flattest Impact thing I've seen, and that's really sad coming off the alliance with AEW. Maybe they're banking on in the new year that angle taking them to new heights. I don't know, but this is not good. So Kiera Hogan is a special referee for the match, and Tasha Steelz will serve as the ring announcer. Hernandez is not affected as he's announced. And basically, they make fun of the ring announcing stuff. I mean, it's a brawl between two big guys. There's a low blow. Hernandez looks good for what he's been, but comparatively, this isn't great. He does hit a springboard shoulder tackle and a dive. They trade momentum. Hogan starts twerking while counting a pin, and this costs Fallah Bahh the win. And Hogan is told to stop being ratchet, and then Hernandez recovers and attacks Fallah Bahh with a Superman splash for the win. Goofy. Hogan and Steelz didn't have money that Hernandez needs. Hernandez threatens them with weapons. They run away. Hogan and Steelz are really good. They're really good talents. They're fun, but I just don't like the angle they're in. Miller interviews Chris Bay about being the biggest match of his career. Bay says that this is where he always belonged, and tonight he's taking the title. Eric Young with Joe Doring defeats Rhino. Eric Young and Joe Doring have been attacking people and ambushing them. Rhino and his friend Heath are included in that. Young and Doring take out the Deaners last week, and Rhino makes a save, and thus Rhino is in the match here. Doring versus Rhino will eventually happen. Story of the match is that Rhino has a power advantage and dominates that way, but then Rhino gains momentum. Doring interferes and distracts Rhino, allowing Young to get the advantage back. Basically, Eric Young's trying to set up the pile driver at every turn. Young goes for top rope moonsault, only to crash and burn. Rhino moves out of the way. Rhino hits a couple of slams, a TKO for near fall. And then Rhino whips Young into the referee. Deaners come out, and they make sure that Eric Young couldn't attack Rhino with his own issues. Cody Deaner turns heel, attacks Cousin Jake with Young's mask. Young took the mask afterwards and finishes off Rhino for the win. I don't care about the Deaners, so I don't care about the turn. Young is great, and I would actually like to see him do something more substantial now. And I don't really understand why, if you have a guy like that, you're doing this little with him. Young maybe building up some sort of stable here. Anyway, Scott D'Amore goes after Omega's security. Carl Anderson walks up and happened to be on Omega's list. Hence the family reunion, which is cool. It's a tie-in to their Japan days, which is awesome. Manik defeats Rohit Raju to win the X Division title. Rohit Raju announced that this is This would be his final defeat or heat challenge. And he has defended against names like TJP, Crazy Steve, Jordana Grace, and many others. The challenge is open to anyone except TJP, but then Rahet cuts a promo before the match, calling out his challenger and talking about proving that he's the best X Division champion of this or any lifetime. Manik comes out and makes the challenge, and we all know that that's TJP under a mask, and obviously you can see his tattoos. Manik basically surprises Rahet from behind with a top rope splash. Match is constantly going. Lots of reversal submission. Good mat work. TJP is wasted being an Impact, honestly. Rahet cuts him off early and starts working over Manik with a good bit of moves. Rahet, suspecting that it was TJP, tries starting to rip the mask off of him. Couldn't manage to get it off. TJP manages a comeback, and the second half of the match really hits a good stride. They go back and forth with both guys getting good near falls. Manik manages to get a quick pin on Raju and beats him for the X Division Championship. And TJP does not unmask, so we still have questions there. GM Miller interviews Moose about taking out Willie Mack and what the purpose is for tonight's show without competition. Moose says that Swan's belt is the second most important title in the promotion, and the TNA title is the most important. Moose says that he'll challenge whoever wins tonight between Swan and Bay. Knockouts champion Deanna Purrazzo defeats Rosemary with Talia. Purrazzo has Kimberly at her side. She retains the women's title. Purrazzo has been feuding with Su Yung. And, I mean, they do a good package kind of hyping that. Rosemary gets a pin in the tag team championship match over Team Purrazzo and our tag team championship tournament, rather. Dean Moore decides that Rosemary is the best contender, and Rosemary dominates early, but goes crashing to the outside of the ring. Purrazzo sends her shoulder into the ring post, cuts her off. Purrazzo works over Rosemary's left arm and locks in submissions, and really is masterful at the submission game. She focuses on Rosemary's head, chasing the neck vice hold that she uses. Rosemary manages a comeback, tries to take out Purrazzo's leg, and almost wins the championship with a red wedding. Kimberly is there. She pulls the referee out of the ring. Talia gets rid of Kimberly, but distraction is enough for Purrazzo to hit the Costa Nostra for the win. Post-match, Purrazzo and Lee antagonized Talia, but she took out both women and held them in the ring. Purrazzo versus Talia is probably happening pretty soon, which is a backward step because Talia is, to me, average at best. Omega, Callis, and Carl Anderson talk about the old days, and Anderson said that he had to leave for his match. Omega and Callis said that Old Machine Gun from G1 Climax would take out Ethan Page in a minute and be back partying in a matter of seconds. Carl Anderson defeats Ethan Page with Josh Alexander. The Good Brothers won the title back at Turning Point, but the North got a rematch. Ethan Page had to defeat Anderson in the match. The reason this is one-on-one is because Page takes out Gallus a couple of weeks ago, and Anderson's out for revenge for his partner. Match is back and forth early. Aggressive. Anderson has the power and size advantage, obviously. Alexander tripped Anderson. Page cuts him off with a backbreaker. Page works over Anderson's back and keeps him down, cutting him off. Anderson tries to try to come back, but gets cut off almost every time. Anderson and Page exchange a series of strikes. Anderson gets the advantage there. And big spine buster. Anderson starts chasing action and hits a gun stun, leading to he and Page going back and forth with big moves. And near falls. Anderson hits a jumping cutter and the gun stun to get the win. North will not get another tag team title match anytime soon. And I guess this means they're heading to the end of their run in Impact, which hopefully means Ethan Page in AEW. That would be good for business. Some dissension after the match. Alexander took off his North jacket, and Page begs him not to do this. He said they have a plan and everything's going to be fine. Then your main event, Rich Swann defeats Chris Bay to retain the title. Many names have come at Rich Swann since he won the title. Chris Bay is just another one in the line. And Bay basically tagged with Swann and hits him with the Art of Finesse, and thus Swann finally agrees to give him the match. Match starts slow, but they pick up good speed. Basically, they move into an X Division style match of spots and reversals, and they slow down when necessary. Swann goes for Bay's head, or Bay tries to go on the midsection of Swann, and then they keep kind of going back and forth. It's like they're switching gears. Match goes on. Bay and Swann increased the intensity of their strikes. Bay starts to go for Torture Rack and Yoshitonics. Swann pulls out a cartwheel Phoenix Splash. Striking exchange, and then they do the series of pins. Bay can't keep up with Swann and can't keep him down. Starts to get frustrated. Bay is frustrated, but Swann gets frustrated too as he can't outmatch Bay. I mean, this is a star-making match for Bay. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but you got to make new stars, and him hanging with Swann in this way means that in a year or two you could make him champion, and it would make sense. Intense speed and pacing. Chris Bay shows that he does belong in the main event after this. Moose comes out post-match after Swann wins, and he looks like he's ready to go. He's got the TNA title in hand. Moose takes the Impact title and gives it to Swann, and basically implores that he's going to be Swann's main next challenger, and they close the show. On that note, overall, like I said, a completely skippable show, but at the same time, with the talent they have, they're doing the best they can. We'll be back with more right after this.